Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was something for our game one between FrostFire and LBGN. We did say, oh no, see, the game was so powerful that even Smax is getting overloaded on his camera, and
Can't
the
handle
internet just might be, affecting all of us at this point. But we have to reiterate and start from the ground up why these two teams were so damn aggressive all the time. Starting with Cubby, let's look at that Long Beach composition that they drafted.
Well, going into this game, we talked about how each teams like to play rather unique picks, and I feel like a lot of those landed. Like we mentioned, Gnar being a pick that Kloss picked up earlier. We mentioned Jay Smid from High Key Savage. He loves to play aggressive in that mid lane. And Dean, we mentioned he's a Sona one trick. Well, Janna kind of fits into that role as well. Meanwhile, on the other side, LBGN actually played something that was standard, and that's kind of surprising. It makes sense, right? Like, they have the Aphelios. They want to protect the Aphelios. They have a couple tools to deal with the Karthus ultimate. And we didn't exactly get to see like how all the picks rolled in, but you could see a game plan from them. But what ended up happening was after Mink got an early jungle lead, he chucked it when he died. Kitsuo got 2 kills. And from there, it really just felt like LBGN was on the back foot of every single play. And the game was really bloody, but FrostFire, they were able to maintain their gold lead, and eventually just the camel's back broke when, the Baron play came through. They managed to kill off a lot of members of LBGN, and then the Dragon fight came through, and they ended up winning off that.
It was... I mean, honestly, we can talk about the drafts a little bit, but the game was such a fiesta that it almost doesn't matter all of that much. But yeah, it definitely was kind of strange for Long Beach. That they were playing these more standard stuff. We laid it out at the beginning of the day. We were expecting fiesta from both sides in the draft and in the gameplay. We delivered in the gameplay for sure, but only one team delivered in the draft. And FrostFire, they pick up the win with the fiesta draft too. Coincidence? I think not. I think the Karthus is pretty good. And I'm really excited to see some more of that, maybe on the ban list as well. I think that champion is so good.
I mean, we mentioned it that I believe it was yours truly that mentioned that FrostFire will be the first one to try and bust out this Karthus. I didn't think that Kitsuo would be taking it for himself. I thought that with Andy Benny starting the Karthus bot train, that it was going to be Lobos picking it up. But speaking of Lobos and Kitsuo, I just want to take a quick peek at our fantasy points. I've racked and totaled up just from game one, ladies and gentlemen. Cubby, you picked up Meech, and he only earned you 9 points that game.
I stand by that decision. We take the best 2 games, and they're gonna win 2-1. So easy.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we're already on track to a 2-0 or 2-1 for FrostFire. I still think that they've got it in the bag. And we have confirmation that FrostFire will be blue side again this next game. So FrostFire do have the opportunity to have that first pick. And it was Long Beach Nation that chose they wanted to have red side for counter picks. So, we'll have to see how well they can adapt going into game 2. And a Cubby, I actually want to throw it to your way, since you were the most displeased about LBGN's performance in that game. What do you suspect, if they need to make a draft change, is needed, or if it's just purely execution-wise?
I mean, the draft, I feel like the Janna coming out was actually really good for FrostFire. Like, it allowed for FrostFire to reset a lot of these fights, and while the Bard ultimate and the Kindred ultimate can help defend against Karthus ult, at least with the Kindred ultimate, like, you still lose so much of your health bar in the Bard ultimate. Like, you're still going to misposition yourself if you utilize that on yourself. So when the Karthus got ahead, it was a little bit too much for them to deal with. I'm more disappointed in the play, honestly, from both teams. It felt like LBGN, the only way they knew how to come back was like to just keep fighting and try to make it happen. And they had a few nice plays, like they snuck Baron, only lost a couple members. They managed to take that last Ocean Soul, but they never like hit the retreat button. And meanwhile, like FrostFire, they actually showed some restraint, and ultimately, like, the game just kind of ended up feeling like a playground brawl. Like something like went wrong, like someone kicked the Foursquare ball like way too far out in the playground, like didn't want to get it, so like they just started fighting, something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but all I know is that there was no objective at all to a lot of the fighting that I saw. And I want to see both teams clean it up. I want to see FrostFire stop overextending in the side lanes so often. I want to see LBGN fight with a purpose and invade with a purpose because, Mink, he usually plays tanks. Like, that's why we talked about the Nunu and the Rammus so far going into the game. He picks up the Kindred, which once again pairs very well with Aphelios, makes some sense protecting him and letting Meech carry, but nothing happened. They couldn't pull it off, and once they fell behind, it was just too much. FrostFire was able to, kind of go even in all the fights. The lead never changed, and they ended up just winning the game because they had map control.
Yeah, and because they are on red side for this next game too, I feel like they have to ban out that Karthus. I believe it was first picked on the side of FrostFire, and Kitsuo was so relevant in the entire game on Karthus. Usually it's pretty tough to have a high impact early on, and I believe he did die first blood, but he started racking up kill after kill after kill on this Karthus, building up a shutdown for himself of I think it was 600 gold, which was then picked up by Bard, which a little bit rough, but that's kind of just how this whole game was. It felt like both teams were really just running around the map, trying to have as much fun as possible, rather than trying to find the plays that stick the hardest and let you win the game. I don't want to blame them too much, but this is playoffs, guys. You got to focus a little bit more. You got to play with a purpose, like Cubby said, and it's on both sides too. This game was absolutely a fiesta on all fronts. TJ hopped in on our call at the end of the game. He's like, one team fight's going to end the entire game, and it's going to completely blow up, and none of the rest of the game is going to matter. And that's exactly what happened around that Baron fight. FrostFire got the better end of it. FrostFire get the Nexus kill as well. I want to see some more focus from Long Beach specifically, but also FrostFire, because I think it is the problem is on both sides here, and I'm really again, it's playoffs. It's single elimination. If Long Beach come with that attitude for this game too, they don't deserve to advance, and they're going to lose. So I hope that they focus up. I hope both teams focus up for sure.
I will say this, Max. Going back to our kind of insight about both of how these teams operate, we're not entirely sure who does the drafting or the coaching for LBGN, but FrostFire, they don't have a coach. The drafts are all done by Kitsuo, which is why I picked him. Yeah,
what? You didn't share this with us.
All right, that's a lie, and you know it because I shared this information with you during the draft phase.
After.
Okay, fine. After the draft phase, but don't bring it up like you don't know now. We had a conversation.
This is collusion.
Yeah, this is not collusion. This is all fair and square. If you want to have insider information, go talk to the players. Be nice. I know you were chatting up with Shoryu a bunch after yesterday's interview, dude. So maybe you might have the inside track going into tomorrow. But tomorrow is a different day. Today is now, and game 2 will be coming soon. So, as we are wrapping up and getting ready for draft and almost ready to send it back over to Coco and Kangas, final thoughts from both of you. I'm going to start with Smax. Do FrostFire close out here, or do LBGN have what it takes to come back?
Well, due to my predictions here, I have to go with Long Beach taking at least one game, or at least I would after seeing that first game, or before seeing that first game. After seeing it, I think there's a pretty good chance that FrostFire do get the 2-0, especially if Long Beach come in with the same game plan. Although, I do in the Karthus, I do think they're going to play with a little bit more focus, and I hope so as well, because I do want to see some more competitive gameplay. We were joking about pulling out the crab rave again after that game 1. I'm glad that I hope we don't have to, because
it only works once.
It only works once.
It's never going to work again. That was way too good.
This if there was ever a time to do it again, it feels like that game would have been the time.
It was,
and I hope
really
we don't have to. I don't know. I hope we don't have to have this conversation after game 2 again.
Well, Smax, I don't know what you learned from that game, because honestly, I learned nothing. So I'm still going with LBGN 2-1. I think that they can at least bounce back and take the next game. If I did learn anything, I want to see Mink back on tanks. I feel like he's much more comfortable with that. Yes, he did get the early lead with Kindred, but he failed to snowball that one against the Karthus, in which you can punish that matchup. Kitsuo definitely got the better of him, and when Karthus got so far ahead, it was way too difficult for the side of LBGN to come back. I don't know if you deal with the pick, but I think that you can definitely put Mink back on a tank. He feels much better on those champions.
Well, we're going to have to see how well this these two teams clash it out in game 2. I'm very confident and adamant that this is going to be another win for FrostFire. You know, you have to keep in mind that there are a bunch of experience going into the hands of Kitsuo and Quas, as well as Heike Savage for having collegiate. But as we are getting ready for game 2, Kangas and Coco will be taking you through the draft phase. Let's see who comes back or who ends the series.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. Smacks and Cubby, I just got to say, and Rafa, you too, if you had done the crab dance again, I don't think anyone would have blamed you, but you also have to change your profile pictures on Twitter to those images that I clipped of you, because those are gold, man. I'm telling you, your follower counts are going to skyrocket through the roof. Coco, what did we learn from that game? Because I'm feeling a little down on LBGN right now. I mean, the desk say we learned nothing. Is FrostFire good? Is LBGN bad? What's going on?
Man, it's something where that mindset of always trying to learn something from anything is just so difficult when you have games like that, when you have just something completely muddled out, it's all kerfuffled, and then you have Papa Smacks on the analyst desk being the actual dad, father figure, being like, you know what, start behaving like real teams or I'm going to boot you out of the league. So good on him for dropping the boot down, but it's something where at that last game, for me, it shows the fact that you have that center focus for Kaming Ige for the side of, LBGN, because that once that was shut down, there was nothing else for them to do. Like we mentioned, Dean with the Janna pickup, perfect disengagement and re-engagement tool, and there wasn't enough tools to really shut down the carry threats of FrostFire compared to that of the utility that there was around Aphelios. So for me, I'm looking for LBGN to really actually create some more different threats and to actually get some more comfort back into their draft as well. Yes, it was traditional, but it wasn't something that they really looked like they were in, like sitting well in the seats of those champions for.
Ooh. Well, Coco, I can tell you one thing we learned, and that's Lobos has a really good Ashe, and that's first big year for FrostFire. They're still on the blue side, keep in mind, so they do highly prioritize this pick. We mentioned it in the pre-show. It's a great pick in the meta currently, and also when you have a player like Lobos who's able to find those engages, it works out great. But what an answer from LBGN. We might just see the Wukong send a bot.
Yeah, and I don't think Cubby's happy with that either, because he's not going to get the stats that he wanted out of our boy Meech. So bummer, man. Send a Wukong bot. But this is also a thing that when you immediately pick that, it just tells the enemy team that, hey, we're going to be like giving up the lane until level 6, and then we're going to just try and all in on you. And Janna again for Dean is almost as good as Karma. Like, it's almost as good as Karma because you have the disengagement, you have the tornado. Like, it doesn't really matter if Wukong's going to jump on you because, heck, you could just go heal and then teleport on Ashe, or you can just go heal barrier if you want to go Soraka strat and run that way. So, for me, FrostFire is already winning this draft, and then they blind pick a LeBlanc for our boy in Heike Savage. So now you have some more of that pick potential, that assassination potential already lined up against a squishy composition.
And LeBlanc also a little more defensive. You know, you can get away from those cheesy death brushes that we saw LBGN setting up. But Corki as the answer to the LeBlanc, not something that we usually expect to see, but I guess they want some just raw DPS, essentially another AD carry in their composition somewhere, as this presumably will be fasting Senna with the Wukong as the bot lane engage option. But not what I was expecting still from the Corki.
No, Corki I don't think was the best option here when like looking at an overall team composition. When you look at lane, it's not too bad. You have some decent range. You have some harassment to sort of deal with the trading setups that you're going to be having with LeBlanc for Heike Savage. But even then, it only gets to the point where it's saying, okay, my early game is going to be okay. My sort of early to mid, where it's first item power spikes, are going to be a little bit awkward because she's able to get there faster just because of the economy that it has. But then once I'm able to get to my second item power spike, where let's say he goes Man Immune and Trinity Force, which is the most popular build strat, that then he'll really feel online, and then he can just sort of mow people and burn people down with his care package. But it's all a while to get there. Yeah, and it's a matter of if, because Corki wants to separate the team fights and make it more chaotic with the packages. And looking at FrostFire, they already want to play that way, where they have a scrappy composition that will be able to make picks left and right, and will have some more space to deal with. So looking at the second ban phase, like with Skarner and Jarvan being taken off the board, you're a little bit concerned to see how Mink's going to be grabbing up with their jungles.
Interesting to know But LBGN still have multiple flex picks right now, locking in the
What
Volibear.
is-
Yeah, they played it top last side. Could go jungle if they want to. And it's not guaranteed to be the Wukong's in a bot lane. It's a popular
True.
lane right now, but now that you're looking at that Ashe Janna, I wouldn't hate if they put that Wukong top side, Volibear jungle, and then something else in that bot lane position. We'll see what they actually go for in the end here. But FrostFire, we know that they're not going to be able to play the Kindred themselves. LBGN actually banning that one away. So not the Karthus, not the Kindred. Very different junglers that we'll see this time around, but they will still take that Gnar. If it's going to be the Volibear on the top lane, this was a fantastic lane for Quas last time around.
Yeah, it was very nice for him to have. Didn't really have any issues with it. And it also means that it's a great blind pick as well. Gnar does have decent matchups with the majority of the current top lane meta. The one that I'd really have a hassle with would probably be Camille. So if they're saving this for last, if they're saying this is going to be Volibear jungle, we're going to give that over to Mink. And then we're going to be saving this final pick for the top lane. I'm looking for people that are going to be diving onto a mini Gnar, that are going to be bursting him out. Camille is a perfect example because she just outscales him and can trade efficiently. Mordekaiser would be the other one, but it's mostly due to the fact that he'd be better into the mid to later game stages. The Morgana, though, tells a different tale. It means that we might be doing something of a Volibear jungle with a Wukong top and then Morgana Senna bot.
I actually don't hate this. I think once you see Ashe Janna, you can't play Wukong Senna into that, right? Like, Senna's not going to poke through Janna's shield. Wukong's not going to be able to engage onto the tornadoes and the monsoon. So just abort that strategy. You still have flexibility in your draft. The question now that I have is what happens in the Wukong versus Gnar matchup, because we saw what the Volibear had to deal with early on in the game. And to me, Wukong, at least it's not an AP matchup, but it's still a ranged matchup, something that he can struggle with.
Yeah, and the magic damage from Hyper is just based off of the max HP shred that he'll be getting. I'm going to be interested to see how well that actually gets affected with the low magic resistance that Wukong has in those solo lanes. But it's definitely going to be better because of the clones that he can use to manipulate here and there. He can try and go in for those early trades, get a quick clone out, and then reset the laning phase once again just to prepare for another trade to wrap back up. So want to be a little bit more bursty on that top end to where Quas is totally fine with those extensive trades. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that end. But speaking of trades, you look at that bottom side, like Morgana, Senna, like for real, what am I going to be? Like if you get a binding, that's going to be obnoxious. Oh, and they went the Soraka strat too. So it's barrier heal. So yeah, no one's going to die here unless Kitsuo and Mink both just decide, you know what, I'm going to dive each other's turrets and just create absolute chaos.
It would be hard it would be hard to lock down Lobos or Dean, but if they're able to land a binding and then follow it up with the Senna route as well, it's a lot of time that they're locking somebody down from, and they're still fighting from range, so the Janna Monsoon won't be as useful in those situations. But you're right. I don't think we're going to see a lot of action bot side. When I look at these compositions, I'm looking at mid lane here for FrostFire. You got to get Heike Savage activated on this LeBlanc, and you have a Hecarim who we saw, spoiler, has Ignite and Smite. So definitely looking to provide that early game presence and some pressure there against Galaxy Collapse, but also taking the Conqueror instead of something like the Predator. I like Predator Hecarim still. I know that it's falling off. No one takes Predator anymore, but we'll see if the Conqueror is able to keep him alive a little bit longer, because yet again, FrostFire don't really have a core tank outside of Mega Gnar.
Yeah, well, Hecarim does become absolutely obnoxious later on if he does get fed, so going most likely with the Bruiser strategy. If you get to the late game stages, the sustained tank ability of Hecarim is really annoying to deal with, but you are going up against a composition that has a lot of max HP shred, and not only Wukong, but also in Volibear's Mink that does some additional damage on that end. I'm going to be surprised to see how well the whole matchup of Hecarim and Volibear is, because there's still a discussion that Volibear doesn't have a losing matchup in the jungle. So seeing how well both of these mid laners are going to be interacting with their jungle partner is something we want to be keeping an eye on into that sort of new first objective stage, where we're going to be looking for the heralds, we're going to be looking for the dragons, and most importantly, we're going to be looking for those scuttle contestants to see where they're going to be looking at, or if they just decide to call it a draw and just do one scuttle apiece, which is boring. And as much as I want them to behave and act like pro teams, I still want to see some blood and get some action early on.
I mean, if you got Hecarim and you got Ignite, I think you go for those scuttle contests,
Oh, for
right? I
sure.
mean, what's a Volibear gonna do against you when you have that extra combat summoner spell available, and presumably High Key Savage with control over that mid lane, able to roam, able to help you out a little bit faster than Freeze will be able to. But we'll see how the early game plays out, how they're able to contest those early game scuttles as we're loaded on to Summoner's Rift for Game 2 of our first quarterfinals match, FrostFire versus LBGN. FrostFire find themselves up 1-0 in the series. I predicted it would be a 2-0 sweep for them. We'll see if that is true or if LBGN can mount the comeback. Either way, not a lot of action happening early on as both teams just go for that 5-point start. We might see the early sweeper picked up for Mink, and it is. One thing we didn't notice, Coco, or at least didn't mention earlier on, we got double Glacial Augment coming in from Meech and Uganda Royalty on the bot side. That's a lot of zone control that they're going to be able to offer now in these team fights.
It's just going to make it way more obnoxious in these neutral objective contestations, because I'd be looking at Uganda Royalty to be rushing the Super Soaker as fast as possible just for that additional peel, and it's just so effective on that item anyways. Quas taking a little bit of damage, don't need to worry about it, the laning advantage, I guess, but seeing a sense of into those whole objective contestations, I'll actually have to shut my mouth because
we got a
they're
late
looking
invade
bad.
here. Dean does spot them out, so it should be just a disengage, right? But no, Uganda Royalty, he's going in onto Dean. He's holding the binding for so long. They're just using their autos right now. But look at Lobos. Oh no,
tragic.
the Q goes wide, and first blood picked up by Kitsuo. Now he's actually got the ghost instead of the ignite, but he does still stay alive. Dean gets the next kill, and Mink caught out way too far forward. The invade goes completely awry, and LBGN find themselves on a huge back foot. FrostFire pick up 3 early kills.
Okay, well, I guess LBGN just decided to go to the skate park and not listen to Papa Smacks, because they are absolutely playing the punk music right now and just not behaving as they should be.
They've shaved the sides of their head. They got the mohawk pristine right now.
Like, this is them walking.
Play?
Oh my god, this is them walking into the tattoo parlor and asking for like a generic tribal tattoo on their wrist, and it's just absolutely horrendous because the tattoo artist has no idea
I don't know,
what they
Coco.
want.
I think it's a frowny face on their ass, if anything, because this is not the play that they were looking for. Kitsuo survives through the whole thing. He doesn't get the red buff, so he does have to start jungle level 1.
Dude, Janna's gonna slap though with red buff. Oh my goodness, this is just that is Lean Dean fighting machine right now, and he's gonna be bringing an absolute hurting, because people forget the fact that Janna is one of the best enchanter bullies in the early stage because of how well her trading is with her WE situation. Like, she comes in, she gets a W with the slow, puts on her E, gets that additional attack damage, and she just starts whipping you.
Could do it.
You have to go
I
back
feel like
Lobos, like
Senna and Morgana could do it. They got some range.
Sure.
They got some magic shields.
They get to sit under turret, like that's great. But look at the CS differential right now is 13-9, and that's just only going to grow even further. And they even went cheater strat with going Cull as well for Lobos, so that's
getting the 3 assists.
It up. Yeah, like it
had
just
enough gold to
sucks.
get that. That's
You already
pretty
have
rough.
a
They also went for that
1.2
early back there, but no TP means that they have to walk all the way back into lane. We'll see if that puts him behind it all. Mink catching out Kitsuo around this top jungle. Does he actually want to go for this contest? Kitsuo uses the smite action. No, it's Mink that claims that one away. Kitsuo is still level 3 now, getting chased down, and the speed up through the scuttle. Now Freeze joining in on the action. He wants some of this fun and picks up the kill for his trouble. High Key Savage cannot turn that one around.
Yeah, not bad. You're able to get the early trade with the scuttle because all the summoners have been used by Kitsuo, and now the trade on the bottom side as well. This is that pain train.
They can't win it.
It hurts.
It doesn't matter that they chained the CC onto Lobos with all the Janna shields. They just have no extra gas to actually make that damage stick, and they are a little worse for the wear on that trade. But that's just what we expect on the bot side. We do see Kitsuo down there, so we still could witness some action. But top side, these trades, they're both pretty low on health right now. We could see an all-in coming from either side.
Yeah, and the Quas is going to have to back off because he just came out of Meganar, so he has the tired passive going down right now, and you want to have that, like that rage bar just sort of ramping up and always a possible threat of getting that additional HP. Sort of like the same strategy as Kled would have with Skarl, but in the meantime, they get to play a little bit slower. Nice change of pace here for LBGN because of the fact that everything is really as it should have been at the start of the game. Just laning phase, doing the farming, doing some trades here and there, and preparing for the objectives instead of just going all in balls to the wall in that early stage. TP coming in from Quas does mean that he's going to try and make sure that this lane is a little bit more even for himself, and it does give away the forfeit of the TP priority for this dragon. But Kitsuo is saying, you know what, let's just fight back, see if we can get some additional pressure on this bottom side to make sure that Mink doesn't do anything too sneaky.
I like what LBGN's doing, though. They're backing off on the bottom half. They're not being too aggressive, but TP on the top side, so scratch that point for the potential dragon play here. No teleports on the top laners, but we do see a teleport on Freeze in the mid lane, so he could go for a back here if he wants to find something. Good knock-up, though, on Ugana Royalty. The Morgana needs to be careful. Kitsuo's just running right in with that ghost. Can't quite find them, though, as Meech can disengage successfully. So jungler showing on the bot side. What's LBGN going to do with this information? They didn't have to use any summoner spells to get away from that gank, and now Ugana Royalty can back and teleport back into lane. I feel like that was a bit of a whiff there from FrostFire. They definitely were looking for more off that play.
Yeah, they definitely were. And the issue, though, is that, you know, luckily Senna and Morgana are extremely safe for that laning matchup, and especially when you have heal as well in your back pocket. Hikey Savage seeing if he can get a kill for himself on
mid.
Freeze,
Yeah, Freeze. I don't know why you're trying to take that 1v1 there in the mid lane. Does get the ignite out. We'll have to back, but now Dean could be in some trouble on the bottom half of the map. You got a Royalty and Meech. They have to deal with Lobos, though. The damage coming in from Ashe, flashing forward. Lobos, one more auto would take it. Uses the barrier, but I don't think he's going to find it. Meech just barely stays alive as you got a Royalty picks up that kill. Oh, that was a game of inches right there, Coco. I thought he had it.
Oh, he was just waiting for the W to come up because it would have killed him right out there, and it's just, it was not up in time. Unfortunate there from Lobos. The greed was in his eyes, but even with the two summoners down, you still have heal and flash in the back pocket of your support. So in the end, you lose bottom lane pressure. Mink's going to do that sneaky thing as I was talking about and take Dragon for himself, especially when you had Hikey Savage go ahead and recall and give away that mid lane pressure. So this does mean Kitsuo can go ahead and say, you know what, let's go ahead and take some of his jungle camps. There's no way for us to really contest this at this point. Yeah,
he's down two levels to Mink at this point in time. Yeah, there's not much you can do right now.
Yeah, that really is a consequence of just how power farming this jungle is for Volibear. I mentioned earlier, like, there's no losing matchup for Volibear jungle, and this is proving a point time and time again because he just clears super fast and he can duel really quickly. So the fact that he's able to get there just shows the strength of the champion in this role and in the hands of someone who knows how to really amplify those strengths. The only issue for me at this point for Volibear is getting to those power spikes. Like, you look at Kitsuo, he's not going his jungle item, he's going Phage, he's just hard rushing Trinity Force because it's such an expensive item, and you need to get there to really have that massive power spike that Hecarim needs for those fights later on. So we're going to have to keep an eye on how well he's able to get to that Triforce compared to Mink's traditional jungle setup.
Mink, though, now has to worry about topside, keeping Real Phillip alive. Real Phillip, though, he's locking down Quas. Under the turret, takes one turret shot, but now goes Mega. Here's Mink joining around. Flash over the wall, but here we go. The dunk from Mink. He chases Quas down and should claim this one. Kill picked up. Now Hikey Savage could be in trouble, but again, slippery on the LeBlanc, so gets out of that one. Still well played by Mink, knowing where to be on the top half of the map.
Yeah, but bottom end, there's a little bit of fight.
Lobos has to use the heal and the barrier. You got Royalties, just got it anyway. I wish we could have seen the beginning of that because that was absolutely insane. He will go down here to Kitsuo, presumably, unless he can just do some crazy outplays. We know what Morganas could do around the alcove, I suppose. But there's Ghost from Kitsuo. He wants to chase him down, and he will claim his man. Morgana falls, but Dean almost does as well. Action across the map here, Coco.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a replay of how Kaming Ige was died in that bottom end. But as a consequence, because of that top lane pressure, you also had Mink pick up a Herald. But
oh,
goodness,
Freeze.
Damage.
No,
Freeze.
he's dead.
We know how that
fine.
story ends.
We didn't need to see that.
Okay, so they were able to
it's
hit
just
6
Lobos.
first, and that's really why they were able to get that kill. Immediately, Lobos hit 6. He immediately shot that crystal arrow, and they were able to pick up the kill. Luckily for Ugandan Royalty, he then did the exact same thing. He done bamboozled him and jumped in with the level 6 and got the kill in return. Sadly, you used your summoners as well, and Kitsuo was on this bottom side. Yeah, Dean was close to dying, but in the end, it was really just a setup of waiting until you hit level 6, timing, watching that minion die, and right when that happens, you just wombo combo and get in with that ultimate from both sides. So 1-for-1 trade, not too bad, and then with the 1-for-2 with Hecarim coming in on that side. This is that snag that we were just missing when the replay was transitioning over, and it just shows you this is the power that LeBlanc has, and this is why Corki was probably not the best pick for you.
Yeah, I'm still surprised, and we might just see.
Oh, he's doing
never
it
mind.
again.
It's not the
Okay.
full commit. He's got a huge wave there that was pecking him with some damage, but maybe we see the all-in on the top side. Yeah, Kwasiata getting caught out of position here, pushed too far forward, and will go down, but it's traded mid lane. Freeze! What is going on here, man?
Oh my goodness, man, the action going back and forth is so much fun. Now these teams maybe are just playing a little bit more of a bloodbath profession style. Like they are doing and focusing the lanes that they really need to get amplified, right? Like you need Philip to pull on the wins against Quas. You also need this bottom lane to be a little bit more aggressive and not just let the Senna and Morgana outscale you, because eventually they will just become these sustained supports for the rest of the team, where if you have Philip and Mink already sitting on a lot of gold, like you have the 20 CS differential between the junglers, and then you have just the amounts of kill participation that Philip's able to accrue, it's going to be a hassle to deal with in the later stages once you get to that first and second item power spikes to contest for those neutral objectives. Luckily for the side of FrostFire, they're still winning in the CS game on almost all fronts by 20 CS or more outside of Mink in that jungle.
And honestly, I don't even care about the jungle CS differential because of all the kills. I mean, Kitsuo only has one more kill, but is essentially tied in gold with Mink, so that's pretty much null at this point in time. The one thing I want to focus on is Mink with that Rift Herald. You got this objective, you spent time camping topside, getting real Philip comfortable, and he's still shoved in. I mean, that's just what the Gnar will do, but you also got an objective for it. So what are you going to do with this? How are you going to turn this into something more as Freeze? He's playing with Huggy Savage right now, trying to dodge out all these chains of corrupt, or rather, another change. Oh, okay. Huggy Savage doesn't have to distort.
Okay,
Is he
so
gonna be in trouble
here's the problem now for LBGN. You just saw Kitsuo recall. He does now have his Trinity Force. Dragon is up in 10 seconds. Mid lane pressure is in favor of FrostFire. Bottom lane pressure, we're going to be waiting to see if Lobos and Dean reset. It looks like they're going to, and you need to use the Rift Herald as a diversion. Drop it now. Hey, there you go. Use it as that diversion. Get a hard gank. Force them to recall so you can have this priority for the Infernal Dragon when it starts to come up. However, FrostFire is smelling the plan in its actions. When you're cooking something and it smells good, usually everyone around the block smells it, and that's exactly what FrostFire is seeing right now. They're coming in for the fight.
Play? Is this the engage? Lobos takes a huge chunk of damage to start things off. Kitsuo just dives on in. He's got Huggy Savage there for backup and does secure the flash out of Kaimin Yige. But no kills going over either way.
Yeah, but this
Lobos
is the bottom lane
has to
pressure.
back.
Yeah, there you go. This is they actually decided not to back and just going for some more additional farm, but this is the play that they wanted. This is exactly what they wanted the result to be with that force, with the Herald drop, with the hard force onto bottom lane, forcing the reset if they could, and then trying to get that dragon pressure. So well played from LBGN and a perfect result for what they needed to do. They're catching up from their 2-kill deficit that they sort of started in the very beginning of the game. They still have that 2-kill deficit. No, it's 7-5 right now. So for them, the 2-kill deficit that they had in the bottom side of Dean is still not too shabby. And then, on this top end, it's like, sure, it looks painful, but it's not as bad as it is when Mink and CP Freeze are in the area.
It's just so hard to watch the real Philip receive so much attention early, so much action, and still be pushed in here. Now Freeze tries to help out, and he's just going to go down. Quaz with one final auto will take him down. Mink trying to dive in onto Huggy Savage, but has to just, cower under his own turret now. Kitsuo's in the neighborhood, and they do take him down. Maybe action on the bot side. Lobos really chugged out here, and the kill goes over to Ugandan Royalty. LBGN, they flub the play topside, but they might get something else bot. But this is still all FrostFire all day.
Yeah, and with the first turret being destroyed in this top side, Herald is going to be spawning in the next 30 seconds or so. So now for me, FrostFire should be looking to get some priority in this top end once again. Like, yes, you're able to destroy the turret, but the champions are currently not ready to fight for that neutral objective. Get some vision control around it. Look to see if you can get some reset and prepare once again. You do see Lobos, he had just respawned and is looking just to run back down bottom. I think you should be going more top side. And like when you look at Philip just absolutely beating the crap out of Kitsuo, this does tell the tale that FrostFire is not really making the correct play that they need to at right now. They need to be prioritizing this top end. Stop the farming right now. You have strong power spikes with both Kitsuo, Quas, and Heike Savage. Use them before LBGN gets out of control.
Back. He's still around. He doesn't even have smite, so
yeah.
I don't think that they can stop this Rift Herald from going over. Yeah, especially with the teleport coming in here from Ugandan Royalty. This should be the second Rift Herald pick up here for LBGN. So despite losing a little bit of gold, losing some of those kills earlier on, we'll chalk that up to nerves here as it's their first playoff appearance. They're at least keeping control of these objectives. 2 of those Rift Heralds and 2 Dragons now, but the problem is, Coco, we saw this last game and then they gave over control in the mid game. This is all eyes on LBGN and all eyes on the shot calling. How do they make sure that they stay in this game? Because so far, they've been dying a little too much for me to be confident that they have what it takes to come back in this game. But maybe it starts with the play mid here. Heike Savage trying to get the engage. You got Royalty is in the neighborhood to turn it around. And maybe they just jump out of Quas immediately.
Oh, it's going to hit him.
Still health. There we go. It does go through, and it lands onto Mink. He's down immediately in the fight. The big front line, the big bear, tried to be the engage, instead got engaged upon. Lobos does not miss with these arrows, everybody. And FrostFire turn it around.
Now, well played there from FrostFire, actually sort of creating that plan, starting the initiation from Quas's engagement on the Gnar, and then, well, Lobios, I don't know if you should be here, buddy. You do have Wukong Ultimate available. You're chasing him down, but
jumped down and realized, what, he sees me? He sees me. All right, I guess I can't go for this play. Maybe he still finds it, but it's not meant to be. Kitsuo's there. Kill donated over to Lobos.
Yeah, I feel like Philip actually could have fought that one and gotten a kill if he actually engaged onto Lobos first. Even with the barrier and flash available, it could have been a possible contestation because he was way too far out anyways to even think about a retreat. So it was all or nothing on that one, and he decided to choose nothing on that end. And this is the concern that I have with LBGN is that when they are behind, their brains just become scattered. It's like FrostFire and LBGN are in this race to solve a Rubik's Cube, and FrostFire is able to actually just take one piece of the Rubik's Cube out, and it just tilts the rest of LBGN, and they just sort of scrambling.
They took the stickers off, and they rearranged them in a way that's not possible to solve, but you know, maybe exactly. LBGN knows the same play. Just take the stickers off and do them themselves, but no, their play topside is not going to work yet again. You got a Royalty picked in the mid lane. FrostFire are just running the map right now.
Yeah, they learned their lesson fairly quickly. Like, they had the setup for Rift Herald earlier on. They didn't take it. LBGN was able to punish them on it. And now FrostFire says, all right, let's not have that happen again. Dragon is up in 20 seconds. They already have control for it vision-wise. Let's see if they can go ahead, hard reset, and prepare it for the rest of the players. You're going to go ahead. HKS, why'd you cancel that? Okay, I guess because Philip was in the area, but go ahead, reset, see what else you can find. Herald is summoned, so that's just that extra diversion and hard force to see if they can break open this mid lane more. And just that slow delay does mean that LBGN currently is trying to win back that pressure to fight for an Ocean Drake.
I don't know if they're ready to take it. They do start it up, and Freeze is in the neighborhood yet, so they should claim this one. Coco, this whole game just feels like LBGN try and make a play when there's nothing to make a play for. They lose it, but then FrostFire reset on the map at the worst opportune time, and LBGN are able to get the objective for it. Is this like the 420 IQ mind games of LBGN right now? Are they somehow geniuses here? Because I'm not seeing it, man.
No, they're definitely not. This is legit FrostFire saying, hey, let's go ahead and prepare. Let's do some resets. And then HKS is like, hold on, I haven't checked on the sales for like Forever 21 yet. So can I go and check? And it's like, no, we don't have time. Like, we have the oven on at home. We need to go back and prepare for this dragon. It's like, they're just wasting time here and there, and it's slowing them down.
I forgot to file my taxes. You know, it's tax day today. I think that was extended. If anyone has another taxes yet, make sure you get on that. They extended it, but it's now. Ike Savage, I think he's still got time later tonight if they can close this one out in quick fashion. But it's not looking like the cleanest win for FrostFire, but it's still looking like they are the more comfortable team. They're able to win these team fights and find these picks that they're looking for. I just want them to look a little cleaner doing it. It seems like they're just not objective focused, they're team fight focused, they're kill focused, they're trying to push mid, and that's how they won last game too, was just, you know, grouping mid and doing the classic NA strat of taking that middle inhibitor. And it's probably going to work here again, but will it work against the big dogs in Cup? Because they were favored in this matchup. We saw 4 out of 5 predictions were FrostFire favored, and I think we're starting to see why here. Freeze. Oh no, caught out yet again.
Arrow.
Beautiful arrow from Lobos, and it's just that easy.
Yeah, he is just nailing them left and right. Beautiful plays from Lobos, just stacking up the fantasy points as fast as he possibly can, and participating in as many kills as he possibly can as well. Like seven kills wide, and there's 13 kills on the board.
Yeah, Phil's looking for it. He's got the Conqueror. He's trying to just heal up, but I don't think that Quas is too bad about this. Okay, he flashes away, so Summoner Spell does go down. He couldn't get that Rage stack up enough. It had just gone down, but Real Philip will feel good about taking that Summoner Spell. Not getting much else for it. Maybe a pick here? No, they can't find it. Huggy Savage can find it, though. He does so much damage. Meech goes golden under turret, has to flash away, heals himself back up, but it's not enough. It's going to be a trade as Kitsua will fall down, but still FrostFire are a deadly team to deal with.
Yeah, and just look at the items that they have right now, too. Almost everyone is about to hit their second item power spike, where you look across the board, and LBGN is just starting to think about buying the recipes for those second items. And it's that crucial point that, well, Hikey Savage is just going to blow up that. Oof. But yeah, it's this situation where you know you're in the driver's seat. FrostFire understands exactly where their power level is at the moment, and they're doubling down on it and stopping any sort of process for LBGN to come in. The only time LBGN actually has an advantage is when FrostFire is giving it to them.
All right, let's get a quick replay of that play top side here while we're in the pause. Freeze yet again for the 4th time this game, a little too far forward, but look at this prediction arrow going exactly where Freeze was trying to get to. Just incredible stuff. And it's not just single player performances from FrostFire. That's something I want to highlight here. It does seem like this team is making these calls together and using essentially global ash arrows. I mean, half global ash arrows still is impressive. And it feels like they just have a better game plan going into the series than LBGN did.
Yeah, the pick compositions that they've been able to apply in both game 1 and game 2 have just been doing wonderful work for them. And it's something where, like, looking at game 1, questionable for me. It was a lot more of the comfort of the picks, like the Jace mid for Hikey Savage and Gnar for Quas, and then the Ashe Janna situation that they have. Like, the pick was still there. It was all in the process, and especially with the fact that you had Karthus to just finalize any of the kills for Kitsuo is just icing on the cake for that situation. Now for this run around, you have a much more traditional pick comp where you have LeBlanc setting up the hooks. Here you go. Hikey Savage is just showing he just has too much damage to deal with at the moment, so he'll be finishing that off. But this is the top gank on Corki was really the perfect example of finding a pick, and that strategy is like the best way to do it, where they have Hikey Savage go in with the distortion, get the lockdown with the ethereal chains, and that allows enough time for the enchanted crystal arrow to reach all the way through halfway across the map and secure the lockdown for any of the kills. And everyone gets to participate because Dean can just shield Lobos and he gets an assist for it, which is great. I love the whole strategy for that. So everyone gets to participate. And
Dean's also got 3 kills. 3 kills on the J. 3-0-4, 3-0-5, something along those lines.
Yeah.
The composition of this team feels similar to game 1. You know, they got the same bot lane, same top lane, and then mid lane, Jace does a lot of ranged AD poke. LeBlanc is essentially a poke assassin. You can jump in, poke, jump out if you need to. We're ready to hop back into game, so we'll get back to the action. The big difference that we're seeing from FrostFire is the jungler now. Kitsuo no longer on a power farming late scaling jungler, now on the Hecarim, something that can gank a little earlier, gank much earlier, and sitting 5-2-4. Trinity Force has been completed for a long time. I think that Kitsuo is a big reason why they're looking so dominant in this game compared to last game. The only gripe I still have is look at those dragons. Look at where the Rift Heralds were. Yeah, LBGN didn't get too much for either of their Rift Heralds, but they still got them. I want to see FrostFire think more about these objectives and prep them a little bit further ahead of time, which is what they're doing right now. I love this control. We're still a minute out from the dragon, but already they're considering going for that as the arrow misses from Lobos. But you know what? It's all right. I'll give you one miss. That's the first one I've noticed this game.
Yeah, it's
Look at
okay.
that.
You got
Oh.
royalty just going to instantly die. Oh,
Close.
so close on that one.
Pretty much just instantly died right there. That's through the Morgana Black Shield, by the way. The full spell shield blocking all that LeBlanc damage. Nike Savage can still do all of that, even chunking down. Yeah, this is where the poke of the LeBlanc comes in. It's not the same as a Jace, but it can function similarly. You're just over the wall, just forcing LBGN away from this middle turret. And now LBGN need to figure out a way to reapproach this fight. Oh, Meech almost goes down. Heike Savage though pretty low. There's a package over from Corky. They can't get onto Heike Savage. The LeBlanc still running away. Now freezing the 1v1 on the side against Kitsuo. The jungler might be caught out though. It has to use the ultimate to get away. Mink follows him up, but now Mink's caught out way too far to the front line. It's just hopscotch, everybody.
Watch
Leapfrogging
Quas.
over each other. But now look at Quas. He's walked in, humping and pumping and finding Ugandan royalty. LBGN cannot find the miracle this fight. They only take down one member, and it's just the support. This dragon is going over to FrostFire.
Oh, finally, a dragon for FrostFire. My goodness, it's been a minute until they've gotten one, but at least they're able to secure it. Quas almost got the kill onto Freeze, but it was in the end where he was able to separate it and like just deny any continual like conglomerate chase from them. Mink, you're just running away. I don't think you want to see Heike Savage at all, even if he is extremely low. Oh,
The arrow? Oh, Mink! They stopped his back. Heike Savage, he finds him. He's got to be careful, yeah? Runs away from Mink. They're just stopping the back. Oh, Mink could be in a lot of trouble here. I don't know if Dean can take him down either. He's going the long way around. Oh, Mink. Still alive, still huffing and puffing and running back to his side of the map where there is some semblance of safety, but Dean is still chasing him down. Now that he's got the Honeyford, there's no way. There's no way, right? Okay, yeah. Dean
he's fine. He's fine. Yeah. So now 18 kills to 8. And you're slowly closing in on 10,000 gold lead. You're sitting at about 8,000 right now. Pretty darn good for yourself, if I do say so. And a lot of that gold is sitting on a Heike Savage and Kitsuo. Of course, you've got the massive CS differentials between Quas and Lobos against their two counter opponents. But even at this stage, like, yeah, just look at that gold. Like, that is absolutely nuts. Like, a 1,300 gold differential just between the mid lane alone. And jungle is the 2,000 gold differential. Like, Kitsuo has been playing out of his mind. And Mink had the early game advantage. He cleared faster. He was level 6 to Kitsuo's level 4. But it was mostly because of Heike Savage, and I'd have to say Lobos and Dean being able to create the plays, create the picks for Kitsuo to participate in, for him to catch up, get that additional pressure to where he can now just power farm, and Mink has really just been left with the scraps.
LBGN did a great job coming back from that early 3 kills that they gave over to FrostFire with that sloppy invade, but ever since the 10-minute mark now, FrostFire have just gotten so much more than we've seen LBGN pick up. Despite the Dragons, despite the Rift Heralds, FrostFire have mounted an insane lead for themselves here that will be very, very difficult for LBGN to get past. As look at what this LeBlanc can do. The arrow for the kill. Lobos from downtown with the sniper takes down the support.
Ah, beautiful. Always wonderful to see those downtown arrows landing on their marks every single time. It's never going to get old for mechanics. It never is, but
there's got to be some kind of scripts that Lobos is running. That's how he won the 1v1. That's how he's hitting all these arrows. They take down the bottom inhibitor turret. Now they're trying to die for a little more. Heike Savage, yeah, you got to be careful. Maybe got a little too confident there, but the bot doing from Jan will keep. And the damage is gone now. It's just 2 members left alive here for the side of LBGN as the screen goes gray to signify the defeat screens that LBGN are soon to be looking down. FrostFire are running away with this one. Okay, maybe not quite yet. They're backing up, but LBGN, it's pretty close to over right here as we take a replay. so we can see what exactly happened. Oh, we're right back to live. Oh no, Ugandhan Royalty went way too far forward. Tried to chase down some more for himself, and will pay the price.
Yeah, I get that catch. All right, this is the reset for you. This is the final nail in the coffin for FrostFire to reset and get that Baron. But let's look at what happened during that absolute gray screen for the side of LBGN. They were able to get the turret, and they just jumped immediately in. All of the members of LBG are just separated. None of them can work together as a team as their composition needs to, and it's up to Heike Savage and Kitsuo just honestly beating up one target after the other, and Quas is just creating that separation, creating that additional space, and honestly, Lobos and Dean are finalizing it out and just being that back-end artillery fire to sort of continue with it. They got a little greedy. This is what happened. They just got a little greedy on that end, and sort of
How
as
many
a consequence,
seconds was that Lobos couldn't move? I want somebody to check
probably
that one
10.
out.
10 minutes,
like
maybe.
At least 5. At least 5 seconds there.
Oh, for sure.
But the Baron is started up now by FrostFire. They're looking to close this one out. They have a massive gold lead. Yeah, they gave up a little bit of that push at the end. Probably could have ended it if they didn't get that greedy, but they can close it out here pretty quickly. They just got to worry about Mink right now. He has no ultimate, but his flash is about to come up, so he could look to flash in there, steal it away, and then ult out, but no, he's chased away by Quas, so a free Baron pickup. No contest from LBG, and this should be the final push now that we see from FrostFire.
Yep, there we go with all 5 members available, and with a reset coming in from Kitsuo, just going to be grabbing, I believe, just an elixir for himself and popping it, and then just running straight down into this lane to prepare for this dragon. 15 seconds until that Ocean Drake. Let's not give him the soul, honestly, if that's what FrostFire is calling. Just don't give them that. LBGN will just feel absolutely terrible, but you do have Freeze's package. You do have Quas with the teleport, and here you go. This is the fight for it.
Heike Savage chunks to half health, but look at Quas just running straight at the team. It's like, I'm the front line, everybody, and now Mink trying to be the front line for LBG, and goes down way too fast. Freeze tries to get the big engage with the package, but Lobo chases him down. A double kill to the sniper man himself. Flash forward by Heike Savage. He wants it. He needs it. Trying to hop onto Ugandan Royalty. There will be a successful disengage for now. Can they take down Heike Savage? He's zipping, he's zagging, he's back over the wall. Another double kill to Kitsuo. And a teleport from Ugandan Royalty just to try and keep the base alive. Coco, this has got to be it. Baron empowered minions, supers on the Nexus turrets, and all 5 members of FrostFire are here. They are staring down a 2-0 in the quarterfinals, and they are hungry to continue in the cup playoffs. They want to have that chance at the title, and they will absolutely stomp through LBGN on their way there. FrostFire win 2-0.
Wow, FrostFire! What the heck was that second game? Holy crap! That was like the pick off that you wanted to have for execution, and they showed it splendidly there in game 2. And honestly, like beating them in both games with that composition philosophy of those pick comps is just something that shows the consistency of FrostFire, and that was really the end-all be-all, is how consistent they were at every single stage of the game. Yes, there were rises in performance from LBGN when there are those occasions, when there was those weird hiccup dragon takes and like tempo swings, but it was all mostly because there was those downtimes in the tempo that FrostFire was trying to create, that LBGN was just sort of luckily tripping upon. Like they just got by chance that they were just doing awkward resets. So there is some cleanup there from FrostFire that I want to see when they go and continue on through these playoffs. But overall, well done from every single member, and big shout out to Heike Savage and Lobos for just landing those bindings and those arrows hit after hit.
Yeah, those two together are a terrifying combo. And FrostFire, when you zoom out and you look at the organization as a whole, it's not as surprising when you think about them being a team that gives up dragons, that gives up these objectives. They're the team that doesn't have a dedicated coaching staff. It's just these 5 players that figure out, what champs work for us, what play styles work for us. Yeah, it's unconventional. Yeah, there's definitely flaws, but it got them back-to-back wins against LBGN, the bad boys of Cup, the crazy team that we expected all these wacky picks from. They played pretty standard compositions, game 1 and game 2, and it did not work out for them. FrostFire did a fantastic job of just continually finding these advantages despite giving up the neutral objectives. It never got too dicey, because unless that dragon soul is taken, individual dragons aren't worth that much gold if you do the breakdown of math. And for pretty much that whole game, FrostFire was still well ahead in the gold department.
No, well, especially when you start the game with like a three kill gold lead, and a lot of it is sitting into that bot lane and just starting with 1,000 gold lead. Like, okay, sure, yeah. The difference between the dragons is sort of muddled out and sort of moot at that point when you're just so far ahead. You got to give a commendation at least for the members of LBGN to find those hiccups and those spaces where they could create some punishment against FrostFire. But overall, a well played series from both the teams and coming in with an absolutely bloody game.
Yeah, FrostFire showed up. They took down LBGN. Congratulations to them. I'm curious what Daddy Smacks is gonna say about the kids that were in timeout there. But we're gonna send it over to a long break as we get ready to head back to the analyst desk to break down more of that game and get ready for our next series of the night. That's it from us. We'll see you later.